the bipolar vegan. Grr, be the change. Hi everyone, welcome to Bipolar Vegan podcast, vlog and blog. Today I'm really excited because today we've got a guest, Michael Jack from
Yes,
Underdog
MJ, the
MJ, the
underdog.
Underdog Pro Wrestling and Fitness Guru. So there's a couple of a few things I will notes that we're wanting to talk about today. We want to talk about wrestling. We want to talk about motivation. We want to talk about personal struggles in life, trauma, mental health, hardship, and what you do to overcome that as well, and also what you want to achieve through getting through to the public and talking to as many people as possible. So I will leave the floor to you and introduce yourself, Michael.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you that don't know who I am, I am the underdog. Some folk know me as Michael Jack, but most folk know me as the Underdog MJ. I do a lot of stuff online. I'm a professional wrestler. I run my own wrestling school right in the heart of Bathgate, right in the heart of Bathgate. I also do a lot of motivational videos. I do a lot of motivational speaking online. I'm a realist, so I always try to speak from the heart. I am a person that has went through a lot of hardship, a lot of trials and tribulations in life, just as much as any person goes through. I mean, when it comes to struggle, I'd say some of us have struggles that are bigger than others, but I'm here today to speak to you people, to inspire the masses, to give you that real message, to show you that your struggle doesn't need to define who you are as a person.
Brilliant, fantastic. And this is actually the first time we've met. We've known each other for a few years now. And I think it was actually through the motivational videos. I think I'd come across you on Facebook and it was a motivational video, and I think I messaged you, and I think that's how we actually
Aye,
connected.
aye, that's how you first got speaking to me. Aye, that's right,
Yeah,
Steph.
yeah. And we've been trying to plan doing one of these interviews for a long time.
Aye, yeah, long time coming, long
A
time
long
coming.
time coming. Just again through things like just not being in the right headspace with the mental health. Obviously, with me having bipolar, I have long periods of depression cycles and stuff like that. And every
Oh,
time,
I totally understand.
yeah, and every time when it came to right, I'm going to do this, going to do this, something popped in the way. Do you know what I mean? But I'm a great believer. If it's meant to happen, it's meant to happen. And today we're here and we're live, which is brilliant. It's fantastic. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's start with wrestling. How did that come about? How did you get into the wrestling?
Oh, right here, mate. Wrestling's been in my life. The sport of professional wrestling has been in my life for as long as I can remember. The first time I seen it was once I was about 5 years old, mate, and for then I was just hooked. I
Yeah,
know, like, and there was a lot of people that I grew up with that were wrestling fans to start with, and once they found out it was quote unquote not real, I didn't. I don't like. I don't like to use the word fake. I
yeah.
find the word fake.
Fake
Um,
itself. Yeah, yeah.
I find the word fake for the sport of professional wrestling to be quite insulting, if I'm
Derogatory.
honest.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, it's a predetermined sport. It's two people playing a larger than life character, and they're trying to evoke emotion, and they're trying to tell a story. That is probably what made me most hooked about the sport of professional wrestling. It was the not only just the athleticism, but mainly the larger than life characters and the storytelling aspect of things. I mean, take for example, if you look at a really good TV series, right? In order for you to get invested in that TV series, there needs to be character development, and there also needs to be very good storytelling in order to keep you hooked. It's the same with the sport of professional wrestling, and this is I'm going to get into it, right? What made me actually what inspired me to want to actually step into the ring and start wrestling was the late great Eddie Guerrero. Rest in peace. God rest his soul. You are sadly missed every day, my man. He was watching him win the WWE Championship back in 2004. So a WWE pay-per-view, No Way Out 2004. Watching him win the WWE Championship way back then, once I was a little boy, I seen that, and that's what made me go, right, that's what I want to do. I want to be a professional wrestler. And sadly, he passed away maybe about a year after that. It was a big him passing away. I think had a big impact not only from the people in the wrestling business, but also like a lot of the fans as well, because they looked up to him and they were inspired by Eddie Guerrero, same as me. I mean, Eddie Guerrero was a smaller guy, but he was a smaller guy. He was almost an underdog, if you will.
Right.
He was almost an underdog, if you will, because he was a smaller guy, and for a big portion of his career, he was overlooked. But he comes from wrestling royalty. He comes from a big lineage and a wrestling bloodline. He's probably comes from one of the biggest wrestling families in the wrestling business. So, like, seeing him win the WWE Championship, that's what got me hooked. And that's what made me go, I want to do this. Now, do you want to hear a little bit about like how I started my journey?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Right, so if you'll give us a second. Give us a second. My girlfriend's making cat noises. Sorry about that.
No worries, mate.
My girlfriend is very autistic, so I apologise.
Listen, I've got autistic traits as well, so don't worry about it. I completely understand.
Me too. Yeah. Me too. We touch the tisms.
Just 5'5" for the autism.
No, but how I actually got started in professional wrestling is I started training to become a professional wrestling at 12 years old. Right. I actually started at 12 years old. Now, I trained with a company that is unfortunately now closed down. The company closed down a few years ago. I started training with them once I was 12 years old. I trained for about 3 years from 12 up until I was about 15. I ended up leaving once I was 15 because I wasn't getting much opportunities due to my age at the time. So like I left for a couple of years, but I never stopped loving the sport of professional wrestling. Always watched it, always tuned into it every single week. I mean, not just WWE. I watched Japanese wrestling, Lucha Libre, Mexico, your smaller independent wrestling companies that are maybe wrestling in front of like a couple hundred people, Ken. But I started training with them for once I was about 12 till I was about 15, and then I left just because I wasn't getting much opportunities due to my age. But then a few years later, I actually ended up going back. And that is where I got really good. And unfortunately, the company shut down a few years ago. And to be honest, I was kind of gutted at the time. I know a lot of other people were, because the Scottish School of Wrestling was running shows in and about West Lothian and up and down certain parts of Scotland as well. And with them, I really felt like it took me a while, but I managed to earn my stripes and I paid my dues. Because I think in any sport, what you're going to do, whether it's professional wrestling, whether it's MMA, whether it's boxing, whatever sport it is you're going to do, you need to pay your dues. You need to pay your dues. So that was turning up to training every week, Ken. Like, no matter how I felt, no matter like how down I was feeling, no matter what I was dealing with, like that was my outlet. And I managed to gain a lot of experience, and I'm grateful for that. I'm forever grateful for that. I gained a lot of experience, and I managed to
Confidence as well. Confidence as
Yeah,
well.
yes, I managed to gain self-confidence as well. Now, I gained a lot of experience and I had a lot of opportunity. I spent maybe about 4 years on the Scottish wrestling scene, and I wrestled in multiple different venues in about West Lothian. I've wrestled in the Bathgate Regal Theatre multiple times, and what I started up just over a year ago with Underdog Pro Wrestling. With Underdog Pro Wrestling, which is now under a new name, by the way.
Oh, is it a new name? Okay.
Aye, it's a new name. So we are changing it to Underground Pro Wrestling.
Underground Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did gain a lot of experience with my. Nicole, go away. This is recorded. Go away.
Right, you can join in. Come in. Have a chat.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Right, let me do this. Right. So I spent about 4 years on the Scottish wrestling scene and I gained a lot of experience and I had a lot of good opportunities. I stepped into the ring with some really well-travelled, successful, independent professional wrestlers, and I got to do multiple different training seminars with the likes of Joey Legend. I got all the respect in the world for that guy. One of the nicest guys I've ever met. I got to work with M-Dog 20, Matt Cross. He's wrestled in multiple different countries independently, up and down. I managed to do training seminars. So like that's where like a lot of the people from that school, from that wrestling school at the time, would be a successful independent wrestler would come over and then they'd probably perform a match on the show. But before the show, we'd get a training seminar where we'd get taught new stuff and then there'd be like a Q&A at the end. So we'd be able to pick that person's brain to be like, all right, what can we learn from them? And I really learned a lot. I got to step into the ring with guys like Joey Legend, Johnny Storm, Matt Cross. I got to do training seminars with the like of Doug Williams, Bingo Balance, Jigsaw. That's just to name a few.
That must be an amazing experience to have all that wealth of knowledge and experience.
Yes, exactly. I mean, back then I thought I was good, right? And then I stepped into the ring with guys like Joey Legend, guys like Johnny Storm, and it made me realise that I've actually got a lot to learn, and I'm still learning to this day.
Every day is a skill day. Every day is a skill day. Do you know that?
In your life, whatever it is you're trying to achieve, you're always learning something. You've never got it all figured out, and I'll get into that in a second. But I gained a lot of experience. Unfortunately, the Scottish School of Wrestling shut down a few years ago. I was gutted when that happened. I was kind of in limbo for a bit. I took a wee hiatus from wrestling for a bit because I was a wee bit burnt out after all of that. To be honest, it happens.
Yeah,
it happens.
Burned out. That happens physically and mentally. Burnout. You know what I mean? And it's a real thing. You need to take stock, give yourself, credit, chill out, whatever you need to do before you get back into it.
Now, when I started up Underdog Pro Wrestling, right, one of the best things that I done in recent memory was start up my own business. But I was like, what type of business is it that I want to run?
Yeah.
It's like the one thing I've been damn good at my entire life has been professional wrestling. Like it's the one thing that I know I'm damn good at. I'm good at quite a few things, but I know that's the one thing that's my God-given talent. I know everybody out there's God-given talent. Some people have figured that out. Some people are still yet to figure that out. But I know that professional wrestling is my God-given talent. But for me, it was less about like, how do I start this? How is it I get this up and running? And it was more about the why. Why am I doing this? See, that is what is really pushed and drive me through slow days. Because sometimes once it comes to the classes, by the way, my classes are every Monday, 4 p.m. till 6 p.m. at Fighters Hive in Bathgate. It's £10 per session. If you want to learn how to wrestle, if you want to improve your fitness, if you want to step outside of your comfort zone and to grow your self-confidence, then Underdog Pro Wrestling is the place for you, whoever's watching this.
What we'll do as well, just for those that are maybe on YouTube, etc., we'll type out contact details and details on the course and courses you've got as well, so they've got that in text format that we can then post up on YouTube, so that
yes, 100%.
we've got that. Okay.
Now, as I was saying, I was looking at why was I doing this? I was looking at now the reasons as to why. Because see, once I started up Underdog Pro Wrestling, I was taking a chance. I took a chance. I was broke and I was in debt when I started up Underdog Pro Wrestling. I mean, like, I was living off in an overdraft. I'm no in an overdraft anymore. Thank God I've actually got a bit of savings and I'm slowly but surely getting there. Praise be to the Lord, I'm no longer in that situation. And I got to thank my lovely girlfriend for that, because she really helped me out of a tough financial situation. I couldn't have done that.
Support is key, both, you know, as a physical support, financial support, but also emotional support
as well. Yeah, like I'm going to get into my upbringing and stuff. We'll get into that. We'll get into that. But, basically, yeah. So I was looking at the reasons why. I was thinking, well, I was like, I've always been really good at professional wrestling. I was like, I've got all this knowledge. I'm like, what is the point in wasting my potential and letting it go to waste?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I also had a knack for like, I have this thing where I'm a very giving person,
mm-hmm.
and I want to be able to help people in any way I can, whether that be through on here, through speaking, using my voice, whether it be through my motivational videos on TikTok and things of that nature,
mm-hmm.
or whether it be through my classes. And that is exactly the reason I was like, right, I grew up my entire life getting bullied because I was always a smaller guy. Folk thought, oh, he's an easy target, let's pick on him. Yeah. I speak about that in my mini documentary, mm-hmm. which is on YouTube, by the way. Spare 5.5 minutes. I don't know if you've already seen it yet, Stefan.
Well, I don't think I have actually. It's one, again, we'll put the link in below in YouTube and other social media platforms. So if you can send that to me, I will put that into the link.
Yes, 100%, and I will let the people be able to check that out, because for the people that have seen it, plenty of people at my workplace have all seen it. My girlfriend's seen it. Loads of people have seen that documentary, and I've had people come up to me and be like, I genuinely had a lump in my throat for watching that. And they were like, oh, my partner had tears in her eyes for watching that. So it's like, see, being able to have that type of impact on complete strangers, people that you don't even know, that warms my heart.
Totally.
That warms my heart.
Yeah, I mean,
for me, it's about trying to make a difference.
Yeah,
for me, it's about trying to make a difference. I feel like that's why I've been put on the earth. I feel like that's my purpose. Yeah. I want to be a helper. I want to be a giver. And I want to be able to make a difference and make an impact in people's lives. That's why I do stuff like this. That's why I do my motivational videos. That's why I run wrestling classes.
Yeah, I mean, that I completely 100% agree with you, because for me, that's what I was doing a few years back, was when I was going out dancing in public. It was, for me, it was that was my meditation. That was my way of dealing with
therapy.
What I was doing, therapy.
It's your form of therapy.
But that then grew into other people getting in touch with me. It was people waving to me in the street, beeping their horns, smiling, making somebody's day. They could have been having a horrible day driving back from work or whatever, but then they saw somebody dancing outside the street and having a laugh or whatever, and that was great. But from that, I've managed to have such a great support network now of friends, people that, you know, that, like you say, have touched their lives. if I've made one person smile that day, I've done my job for the day. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, that's exactly how I feel like with my videos and stuff. Like as long as I've at least made an impact on at least one person, that's all I care about. As long as I've made a difference in somebody's life, whether it be through me having a conversation with them, or maybe one of my motivational videos, or maybe it's one of my guys coming along to the class and they're having a shit day and they come and speak to me and then they'll feel back, they'll feel better after it. And I feel like that's what it's about. It's about trying to make a difference in people's lives. It's about trying to make an impact. It's about trying to be that light in the darkness. I like to look at it that way. You want to be that source of light in the darkness.
Absolutely.
And I feel like a lot of people, right? This is what I've realised because I went through a lot of pain and a lot of sugar honey iced tea. I went through a lot of shit once I was younger. I went through trauma. I even made my own mistakes. We all do. Like I made my own mistakes. I done wrong in the past. But like I've used all of my pain and all of those experiences, the mistakes, the bad stuff, the good stuff, the trauma, all of that to help me grow into a better person. Because I feel like you've got two choices at the end of the day with the stuff that you go through, right? You can either let it break you or you can either let it make you. You've got two choices. You can either sink or swim. And I know for the longest time with some of the stuff that I was going through, like I used to have the wrong circle of friends.
Same,
The
absolutely
longest
same.
time I had the wrong circle of friends, and it took me a long time to realize, right, these people don't love me for me; they love me for the benefits that come with me.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like I had to just separate myself from that, and it's nothing against the people that I used to kick about with. I don't think they're bad people. It's just I've got a vision for certain stuff, and I can't have certain stuff holding me back.
Mm-hmm.
And like what I've learned with being a giver, right? With being a giver, naturally you want to pour into other people's cup. I like to look at the metaphor. Now, my counsellor said this is brilliant. For anybody out there that's struggling with their mental health, trauma, PTSD, anything like that, I highly recommend you get into counselling and get some type of therapy. It is not, understand this, people, it is not a weakness to ask for help, right? This world that we live in today will try to make you, convince you that you, especially men, that you are weak for being vulnerable. No, that is complete BS, right? The way I see it, the truth of it is that it takes true strength and courage to admit that you're dealing with something. So whether you feel too scared to open up to a family member because you feel like you won't get the right support, preaching to the choir, I'll hold my hands up. I never got the right emotional support growing up. Always had physical support, and I'm forever grateful for that, but I never had the right emotional support growing up. If you don't get the right emotional support off of friends and you're scared to tell them, please speak to a professional. Get into counselling. My counsellor's brilliant. I done it through Wellbeing Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
That's who I done my counselling, and that really helped me self-reflect a lot more, and it really helped me put a lot of perspective on a lot of stuff. Like I feel like when I got into counselling, like at the end of last year, it was the right time for me, but I had to take that step. I had to be like, I need help, Ken. Like, and that I feel like that's the first step is admitting that you need help.
See, was that? Did you say that was Wellbeing Scotland?
Yes, Wellbeing Scotland.
Again, I'll put a link into that so that people can go along and have a wee look.
It is probably one of the best things I've done in recent memory.
What's your experience? Sorry to butt in, but what's your experience of getting help through local NHS services?
Oh, I never ever got the help that I needed.
Mm-hmm.
I never ever got the help that I needed through the NHS.
Yeah,
I felt like the NHS was again lack of support.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like the NHS gave me lack of support because like I'd go like I went to a few years ago. I went to my GP, right, and they tried to diagnose me with a mood disorder, which I feel like that is me being misinformed. right? They tried to diagnose me with a mood disorder, but now my entire life I've always felt like I've had ADHD, but it's undiagnosed, right? In school, I was always easily distracted. I was always swinging on my chair. I was always speaking to somebody else, never paying attention. Like when I get into an emotional place, I tend to be quite impulsive, and I struggle to control my impulses. But what I learned through counselling is that it helped me put into perspective that I actually suffer from PTSD.
Right.
Because I was wondering, I'm like, why am I getting all these flashbacks of traumatic events and stuff like that? Yeah, so I understand that I've got PTSD. And when I get into an emotional place, I find it quite hard to control my impulses. I tend to be quite impulsive with things that I say, and also quite impulsive with my behaviour. But what my counsellor taught me is that I need to stop. I need to pause. Now, when you're in an emotional place, it's hard to do that.
Yeah.
But it's one step at a time. You got to take it day by day, one step at a time, and no, every day is going to be a good day. Ken, there's some days where it's going to get on top of you more than others, and you're going to feel overwhelmed with anxiety, and you're going to feel overwhelmed with maybe thinking about a bad experience in the past or something traumatic. Ken, but the thing I want, it might be part of your struggle, but don't let it define who you are as a person.
Yeah, I mean that's a key thing. Again, learning what I've learned over the years is that it is difficult, but try not define yourself by your illness. You know, you
Yeah,
don't
I feel like a lot of people let it define who they are as people, and it's like, do you not understand that you're greater than your struggles, that you're greater than your setbacks, that you're greater than your trauma and the pain that you went through? That's what I'm trying to teach people, because it's the one thing that I've learned. Like, I spent a lot of time by myself. Like, for the people that don't know who they are and you feel lost, okay, if you do not go somewhere by yourself, spend some time by yourself and get to know yourself, right? Self-reflect. Now, the reason I was in such a bad place at one point, right? I mean, I was, see, about maybe 4 years ago, I was really suicidal. I was really suicidal to the point I actually tried to act on it. Had a bad drug problem, Ken. I was drinking all the time, and I tried to overdose on MDMA 4 years ago.
Okay.
Now, I'm a very transparent person. The one thing I've learned is that transparency will not only lead to your transformation, but it can also lead to the transformation of the people around you. So I think it's important to be as real as possible and try not to run from yourself. If there's anything I've learned from my experience, is that if you run from yourself, you will lose yourself.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the reason a lot of people don't change. That's the reason a lot of people don't grow and they don't become better, is because they don't want to face their reality. They don't want to face who they are as people. I had to face myself at a point in time that I became a monster. I'm not afraid to admit that at one point in time I became a monster, but I've grew from that. And I became better from that, because I was like, I didn't want to keep being this guy that messes up, keep being this guy that's doing the wrong things and just pushing people away that truly love and care about you, that kind of thing as well. Because once you're in a dark place, you have a tendency to do that.
Absolutely. We're probably going on to your personal struggles now. Now, obviously, it's up to you how detailed you get. I know you were saying you're quite transparent. I am as well, when I talk to everybody, I talk to them openly about my own mental health and stuff like that. So I know that you're the same. So yeah, tell us a wee bit more about that.
Right. Well, personal struggles. It's a miracle I'm even here in the first place. I had a very bad start to life, but it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. I got adopted at a very young age. I got adopted at 4 months old, mainly because my birth mother, right? She was a heroin addict, right? And from what I know and what I've been told is that I was actually born with heroin in my system.
Right. Okay.
So it is a miracle that I'm even here.
Mm-hmm.
It's a miracle that I'm even here and I'm even breathing. But I'm thankful to the Lord that I am. Now I got adopted at 4 months old, and I got given a very, very good family. Right, I was very fortunate and very lucky. Some people like to tell me how lucky I am all the time. I know how lucky I am. I know how lucky I am. Um, yeah. Now my adoptive parents raised me from 4 months old, so I see them as mum and dad.
Yeah.
I see them as mum and dad. Um, Now my upbringing was always got given everything I ever needed physically. So I always had a roof over my head.
Yeah.
Always had food on the table.
Yeah.
Always had clothes on my back. Always had a bed to sleep in.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm forever grateful to my parents for that. But I feel like I never got the emotional support that I needed growing up. I kind of, as I got older, I kind of became more of a problem child.
Mm-hmm.
I was always doing daft stuff once I was younger. Like I was always out causing trouble and like
Breaking
getting
stuff.
chases after people, jumping near folks' gardens,
Yeah.
hitting folks' windows. Don't for any younger people that are watching, don't do that. Don't do that. You'll get into trouble. Do not do that, okay? Take it from me. Don't do that. No, I was always, I grew up, my mother was a foster carer.
Mm-hmm.
So that was her occupation. So I always had a bunch of different foster brothers growing up. Now, my blood brother, we come from the same birth mother but different father. Now, he got adopted to the same family as what I did.
Mm-hmm.
But he's maybe about 5 or 6 years older than me, so he never really had that attachment to our adoptive parents, but I did.
Mm-hmm.
I did. So that's where me and him were cut from a different cloth.
Sure.
He always seen our birth parents, like our birth mother and his father, as mum and dad's. Now we got adopted to the same family, but once he was 16, he moved back with him. So I dealt with things like abandonment issues and stuff because I was, and I've even had this conversation with my mother. Like my mother was heartbroken once my brother left,
Sure.
and I kind of felt a bit lost as well, and I kind of had to. I never really had my big brother there to show me how to stand up for myself. So I kind of had to fend for myself in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But like I had other siblings growing up. I always grew up with different foster brothers. Two of my foster brothers are actually in my class.
Right. Okay.
They're actually in my class.
Right.
They're really good students,
Mm-hmm.
brilliant students. They always show up. They always show commitment, and they're doing really well. I mean, they've both been wrestling fans for as long as I can remember. So, like, I think anybody that's willing to actually try out the sport, I take my hat off to them. I've got respect for anybody that's willing to step in between those ropes and be able to actually want to learn and perfect their craft.
Yeah.
So I take my hat off to them. In terms of other struggles that I went through, as I said, right, let there be light.
Let there be light.
No, another struggle I always grew up with was, I mentioned this before, but I grew up my entire life getting bullied. I was always the smaller guy, so people always thought I was an easy target, so they thought, let's pick on him. Now, I never understood once I was younger. I was like, why are people picking on me? Why are they bullying me? But I understand it's because people like to project what their own insecurities onto you, and they try to make that your identity.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's not your identity. It's just their own insecurities, and they don't want to deal with that, so they'd rather project it onto you. So, like, I dealt with a lot of people like that growing up. Now, as I said, I'm a very giving person, so I've ran into and dealt with a lot of extreme takers. I like to call them extreme takers, aka people that are very narcissistic, right? Sure. People that want you to do well as long as you don't do better than them. People that want you to shine as long as you don't outshine them. If there's one thing I've learned, if you've got anybody like that in your life, no, I'm not saying to just go cutting people out your life, right? But if you've got somebody in your life that is an extreme taker, right? As an extreme taker, and they're very narcissistic, they're not the types of people that you want to be around. You want to get around people that don't just want to take for your cup, but also want to pour into it.
Yeah.
Like, I like to look at the metaphor for giving people, for people that want to give and help people, that you've got a cup that's full, right? And naturally, with being a given person, you want to pour into other people's cup, right? But what happens over time is that you can give to the wrong people. That is a lesson that I've had to learn. Is that you give and 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 you give till there's nothing left.
Yeah.
And then that's where you end up burning out. That's where you end up with depression and PTSD and things of that nature. You just I had to learn the lesson is that you got to give to the people that truly want the best for you, that have got your best interests at heart. Now, another thing that I've also learned is that you got to learn to take care of your needs first. So Absolutely. It's not being selfish in a way of saying, oh, fuck you, screw everybody else. No, that's being like a total terrible selfish person, right? I mean, like, being selfish in terms of taking care of your needs first before you can take care of the needs of others.
Absolutely.
Now, that is a battle I've been dealing with for the longest time, because naturally I want to help people, but like, I've helped people that didn't deserve it. I've also helped people that didn't want the help, right? Yeah. Now, my counsellor said this to me. She said that you're either the bully or you're the rescuer. Now, I've been both. I have been on both sides of that spectrum. Yeah. I try to be more of the rescuer. Now, I find myself with kind of a saviour complex at times.
Sure.
So what I've learned is that I need to take care of my needs first before I go taking care of the needs of others. Like, see, I won't do a motivational video if I'm not in a good headspace or if I'm not in a good place emotionally. I need to be in a good headspace and a good place emotionally if I'm going to speak to people. Like today, I'm in a good space.
Yeah.
I'm in a good space up here, and I'm in a good space mostly. That's why I was, like, the other day, I wasn't ready to do this. I needed to wait till I was in the right headspace. But in terms of personal struggle, if you're a given person and you want to help people, take care of your needs first before you go taking care of the needs of others. Make sure you're good first before you go trying to make sure other people are good. And I mean, like, you've obviously got this. I mean, I'm a strong cookie. I'm a strong, really strong cookie, mate. Like, I've overcame some of the darkest times in my life. Yeah. I mean, there was points in my life where I was at, like, my version of rock bottom, and I didn't think I'd be able to come back to that, but I didn't give up, and I kept moving forward. I kept pushing forward, and it's still a work in progress.
Can I interject here and ask you? Obviously, known you for a wee bit of time now. Has it been a couple of things that have helped you through that? Is it for me, seeing outwardly in, I see that you often say, like praise the Lord. Is Christianity quite a big thing for you? Is religion and
Yes, I
belief
am
a
a
big
born,
thing?
I am a born again Christian, but I don't fully practice it.
Sure.
Like I'm no like I don't go to church.
Hmm.
I don't go to church. I don't believe that you
An
need
actual
gold ceilings.
building. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
don't believe that you need a gold ceiling to talk to God. I
Sure.
believe why can I not come why can I not speak to God where He sent me?
Hmm. Hmm.
Then I know
So
some people are quite skeptical, but like
no,
I don't
yeah.
know. I've felt the presence of God at some points in my life, so that is why I believe.
Hmm. Um, so yeah, so is there anything that is it been an internal drive or any external things that have helped you get out of those the
So
darkness?
it's been both. It's
Hmm.
been both
Hmm.
internal and external.
Hmm.
I feel like internally it was a lot of self-reflection. As I said before, it had to be for me stop running from myself.
Hmm.
And like that's the point that I touched on. That like that's a lot of reason people don't change. And like I believe you got to deal with your pain because if you don't, your pain will deal with you.
Hmm.
And like I've felt the full brunt of that,
Hmm.
like through what I've been through and being in a dark space mentally and being in a dark space emotionally. And as I said, sometimes you got to go through your worst just to become your best. Sometimes you got to lose everything just to gain everything, right? And but see, the thing is, when it comes to becoming the best version of yourself, it's a continuous work in progress. It's
Absolutely.
like nobody came into this world as an expert, and no one has got it all figured out. You see all these influencers
Yeah.
online,
Yeah.
like that have got like massive influence. I know Andrew Tate is up there. He's got massive influence. Um, Now these types of people try to act like they've got it all together. They
Hmm.
try to, because that's what they portray to the world. Oh, I've got all this money. I live in a nice big house.
Yeah.
But you know these people that can have everything, and yet they inside they feel lost.
Well, example of that, maybe obviously not the same as Andrew Tate because I don't like the man.
He's a contra. I'm not going to get into that because he's a
Aye,
very controversial.
controversial,
He's a
yeah.
very
I,
controversial.
I won't, I
So I'm
won't.
not going to get into that. I'm not
But
going to get into that.
for me personally, and this was it was a great loss to me, was Robin Williams.
Yes,
I grew up
I knew
with
you were
Robin
going to
Williams,
mention that. A
and
guy that seemed like,
he had
or not,
everything, in terms of success, money, people around him, probably access to therapy, all this kind of thing, and obviously being through therapy and things like rehab and stuff like that as well. And even somebody like that that seems to have everything down to pat, the only way that they thought they could escape, would be that end result, and that
yeah,
that
and
that for me was a great loss.
yeah, 100%. And like, I feel like now with the world, suicide rates are higher than ever. Mental health issues are higher than ever. But the thing I want to tell people, right? People be focusing on the wrong things,
Sure.
right? People be focusing on the wrong things, right? You could what the way I see it, what is the point in having all the things that the world says that you should have if it means you lose yourself in the process,
Mhm.
right? You could have millions of followers on social media. You could have a blue check next to your name on social media. You could have money. You could have fame. You could have validation and recognition for people throughout the entire world. But what is the point in gaining all that if it means you lose yourself?
Mhm.
And I think it's us as people. we need to get back to focusing on the right things, right? And I believe it's about love and memories. That's what I believe it's about. It's about creating love with the people that you truly care about and the people that truly care about you. So you're getting that reciprocated. That same energy is reciprocated. But also it's about making memories. I mean, if you speak to a person that's late 80s, 90 years old, what have they got left? It's going to come down to a point in your life where all you've got left is memories. So I say love, make sure you give it out, and memories, make sure you make them.
Absolutely.
Because it's going to come down to a point in your life where that's all you've got left.
Yeah, I mean, just to bolster that, love for me, that again, that's been a big journey, and it's only been fairly recently that I realized, after watching a lot of kind of mainly kind of YouTube videos and stuff like that, but on working on myself when I was in a dark place, realizing that love's key, you know, love, that's what matters in the world. Do you know what I mean?
Love is the key.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Give it out, receive it. It's what human beings in terms of emotionally are designed for, is that connection, is that love, you know?
I feel like it's important. I feel like there's a lot of hate going around in the world, like especially through social media. Like sometimes even on some of my videos, I'll still get people try to give me hate comments.
Oh,
but
okay, hate all the time.
See, the thing is, people call them haters, right? But really, see the real reality of it, right? You don't pay attention to the things that you hate. So realistically, somebody that's in your comments giving you hate, they're really a confused supporter. If you think about it, if anybody sends you, if they're on your page and they're watching your content, they're a confused supporter. If they're giving you quote unquote hate, right?
Yeah.
Just their pride and their ego won't let them admit what you're doing is good. So they'd rather be like, oh, let me put out a hateful comment to try and bag a few likes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. That's so true.
But to touch on the subject of love, right? I feel like it's important. Now, this is the biggest struggle I've had to almost crashed in bum there. No, the biggest struggle I've had to deal with is the war within myself. No, the war that goes on outward circumstances, the war that goes on inside, internally, what goes on in here, what goes on within your heart, right? Now, when it comes to love, I've had to learn that I need to learn to love myself.
Yeah.
Right?
First and foremost.
I made a lot of mistakes and I done some wrong in the past, but I had to learn to forgive myself. And like, even for the people that have done me wrong, right? Or maybe crossed me or maybe done me wrong, right? I even forgive they people, right? But it's no for them. I don't forgive for the people that have done me wrong or crossed me or shat on me or whatever, like whatever way you want to interpret it, right? For the people that do you wrong, right? The best thing you can do is have compassion for those people and learn to forgive them.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you need to let them back into your life.
No.
Doesn't mean that you need to like, be like, oh, you can come right back into my life. So you start overstepping my boundaries and shitting on me all the time. Ken, like I've run into a few people like that. I've had a few people in my life come and go like that. But if there's one thing I've learned, you don't want to carry hate in your heart for anybody. If there's one thing I've learned through my time and through my experience, is that, see, once you carry hate in your heart for people, it is only you that suffers at the end of the day. It's only you that suffers at the end of the day. Once it comes to people doing you wrong, in order for you to move forward and move past that, the best thing you can do is forgive that person. But don't forget. Forgive, but don't forget.
Learn from the experience, basically.
Aye, learn from the experience and use it to help you grow as a person.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well that covers what I was going to ask next. So let's move into the mental illness and mental wellness for you in your journey. Any specifics you'd like to talk about?
Well, mainly PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, I've been through some hella traumatic experiences. I went through some stuff as a child that no child should have went through.
Mm-hmm.
But I think getting into counselling was the best thing because it helped me self-reflect. As I
Right.
said, I was running from my shit for the longest time. I was running from myself, and I got to a stage that I didn't know who the fuck I was.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't know who I was.
Lost your sense of self.
Yes, so I think it was taking a deep dive into my trauma
Mm-hmm.
that has like really helped, and it's made me come to terms with it, and it's made me really accept what happened, and like I've made peace with a lot of my past pain and a lot of my past trauma. I've made peace with it. I think that's why I can speak so openly about it.
Sure.
Because like I want my story to be a catalyst for people to be
Mm-hmm.
like to feel inspired for them to turn their life around, and
Mm-hmm.
for them, and like I'm still learning. I'm only
Mm-hmm.
25 years old, but
Yeah.
I've been through more shit than most.
Yeah.
But in terms of like PTSD is a tough one, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I still sometimes get flashbacks and stuff. Like I've got certain triggers, like I didn't really like see if I get like I really don't like confrontation. I
Same.
went through
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
went through a horrible experience with one of my ex partners. Like went through an experience with one of my ex partners, and like I've actually forgave her. Right, I
Mm-hmm.
forgave her at the end of last year. Like for the longest time, I went hating her. Right,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I hate her for but then I've realised over time that I don't hate her. I don't hate her. And there was at times I hated myself,
Mm-hmm.
Ken, but I had to have that self-reflection constantly to realise that, and I actually forgave her for some of the stuff that she put me through. Like, I don't mind talking about it. I'm going to openly speak about this. She got violent with me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was 20 years old when I first got into my first relationship. I was a social outcast
Mm-hmm.
all the way through high school. Kid, people looked at me, oh, you're that weird kid. You're that weird kid that makes noises.
Mate,
Ken.
I 100% relate to you on that. The weird kid that makes noises. I was on the back of my school yearbook. One of my friends wrote, you know how it was like uh, most likely to accomplish in life, and
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
to become a sound effects guy because I always made weird noises.
Uh-huh. Um, but back to that whole story. She actually got. I was young at that
Mhm.
time. I was 20 years old, and I got into my first relationship. And like at that time, you have to go through that bad first relationship to really make you realize, like, to help you find out who it is you are and what it is you want out of life.
Yeah.
Um, like I actually got punched up and down my mom's old house.
Hmm. Well,
I'll openly talk about it. I've forgave her.
yeah.
It's in the past. It's done and dusted. I don't hate the lassie. I don't forget, but I
Hmm.
forgive her. I'm like, all the best to her. I hope you find happiness, and I hope everything works out for you. Because that's what I've learned. I'm not going to carry hate in my heart for anybody anymore. Like I used to, but I don't. Even
Yeah.
for the people that have done me wrong.
I think, and
Even for the people that have done me wrong.
again, another affinity that I've got with you with that is that I've had past relationships that have been violent as well, and confrontation is a big thing for me. Do you know what I mean?
I don't like confrontation. I hate it.
Yeah.
The thing is, I try to avoid confrontation as much as possible. But if I'm in a situation where somebody's like got me backed into a corner and they're in my face, it's like, I didn't want to fight you, but it's like you're putting me in a position here where it's like, right, I've got PTSD, I'm getting flashbacks here. So it's like, I feel triggered.
Yeah.
Ken, like I think anybody that deals with PTSD, they get triggered. They've got certain triggers, and that's one of mine. Like if I'm in a situation where somebody's in my face and got me backed up into a corner, I feel very. It's like I'm like a bear in a cage, and you're the person poking me with a stick. It's like you keep poking me with a stick. Eventually, I'm going to break out that cage. I'm going to rip your face off. But I try not to let it get to that point. I try my hardest. I try to. Now I'm to a stage where if I feel like I'm in a situation where I feel like it's confrontational, I try to remove myself from the situation.
I'm exactly the same. Give myself 5-10 minutes, just walk away, and I'll be fine. Do you know what I mean?
It's like I need to. If I'm in a situation where it's quite confrontational, like I'll maybe go for a walk, or I'll sit in a different room, or I'll isolate myself.
Sure.
I'll isolate myself, because it's like I need that time to really actually think and self-reflect. And if I'm in a situation where it's confrontational, it's like you've no got that time to actually be clear-headed and stop and pause and stuff. It's a work in progress, but it's something I'm working on. That's why I'm glad I got into counselling.
Can I ask you with the counselling as well? Did you ever get offered EMDR therapy? No.
So what they're what
EFT?
my counsellor. Hold on, I'll let you get into that in a minute, but I want to explain the type of therapy that I'm actually getting. I'm getting CBT.
Oh yeah.
Which is cognitive behavioural therapy.
Yeah.
It's something that I should have probably got a long time ago, but I'm just glad I'm getting it now. I feel like when I did get into counselling, it was the right time for me. I feel like maybe if I got it maybe a year, 2 years prior, it wouldn't have been the right time. I feel like everything happens for a reason, and that was the right time. It's really helped me discover who I am as a person. Absolutely. Everything I've ever went through. Yeah. The good, the bad, the ugly, the ups, the downs, everything, the dark times. I'm thankful for it all.
Yeah, I mean, what's difficult to remember as well is all our life experiences, no matter how good or bad, shape us to who we are right now at this moment. Do you know what I mean? And I might be a wee bit controversial with it, but if you don't have dark times and darkness in your life, it's very difficult to be objective, I think, as a overall whole, if you like. And a great example of that touched me when I first saw it in the cinema, I was in tears, was the film Inside Out. I don't know if you've seen it, but no. It's a Disney film, but basically, you know, it's in the head of the main character, and there's joy, sadness, anger, disgust.
Anger is a big one for me. See, anger is something that I'm still learning to deal with and combat every day. I've got
but again, you need all this in your life, little bits of this, you know, to be a whole person. Do you know what I mean? For years I was trying to switch these things off, you know, push them aside, push the sadness away, push the disgust or the anger away, or, you know, like bottle it up and stuff like that, and realizing that's not healthy. You know, it's not healthy to do that. You know what I mean?
I did the exact same thing, mate. Like, as I said, I tried to run for who I was. I tried to run for, bottle up certain emotions that I didn't know how to deal with, that I didn't know how to deal with my pain and my sadness. And Like I didn't want to feel those emotions. And then, but that turned me into a very angry person.
Oh yeah.
That turned me into a very angry person.
Mm-hmm.
But my anger issues is something that I am still combating. It's
Mm-hmm.
still an everyday struggle.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it is better than it used to be, but one day at a time.
Oh,
One day at a time.
one small step at a time. That's again, that comes through. I've done CBT myself, and there's lots of things like training your retraining. That's the thing. It's retraining your brain on certain things, you know, and it's like taking little steps. You know, the metaphor that they use, I don't know if you use it, is, you know, the ladder. So it's in different steps. So, you
Yeah.
know, step one is just the small step. And it's you know, so your goal is here, where you want to be, step 10 or whatever.
It's like you're climbing a mountain.
Yeah.
It's like you're climbing a mountain, eh?
Yeah. So you just take one small step at a time, little stages, do you know what I mean, to get to that point where you can't just go to that point, you know. And
It's like nobody was brought into this world as an expert.
Yeah.
In anything, whether it's to do with mental illness, the war inside you, whatever it is, nobody's an expert. It's like you really got to take it one day at a time and take it one step at a time. I fully agree with you on that.
Well, it's been absolutely fantastic talking to you. I'm going to wrap this session up, but I want to have you on more often as well when I do this more often.
100%.
But just closing, anything you want to say over the next couple of minutes? Is there anything you want to get out there?
Next couple of minutes, to the people, we all struggle, right? We are all in a battle. It's some type of struggle. Some of us have struggles that are bigger than others, right? But don't let your struggle define who you are as a person. If you deal with mental illness, don't let it define who you are as a person. Rise above. Don't let your pain define who you are as a person. Don't let your trauma define who you are as a person. At the end of the day, you define you. So please, please remember this, right? Remember to give out love. Remember to give out love to the people that deserve it. Give out love to the people that deserve it. And take care of yourself, man. Take care of yourself. Go to the gym. Go for a run. Go for a sauna and steam room. Exercise for 30 minutes a day. Right? The important thing is take care of yourself, man. And try to be as real and as transparent as possible. Because, like I said, transparency will not only lead to your transformation, but it can also lead to the transformation of the people around you. I'm the Underdog MJ, and I want to thank you, Stefan, for having me on. Hopefully, we can do this again. I'd really like to do this again.
Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. Brilliant. Thanks very much for listening, guys.
Thank you.